Anyway, all right, here we go. It's 5:14.
Derbyites, I'm here with Chris Beachum. I'm Rob Licuria. It's like we're getting the band back together. We've spent all week talking about the lead acting categories at the Emmys, and now we're going to tackle lead drama actress. Chris, welcome to the chat.
Yeah, thank you. Of all the ones we're doing, it's not that some of the other ones aren't tough, but you can kind of narrow down to 2 or 3. This one, as you're about to read the nominees, you can make a very legitimate argument for all 6 people. Any one of them could win.
Absolutely. And you know what I love about this as well, and the same goes to drama supporting actress. I cannot believe how strong women are on TV these days. The roles for women in TV series are incredible, and this is testament to that. So let's read through the nominees. We've got Claire Foy, so second nomination for The Crown. Tatiana Maslany, previous winner as well for Orphan Black. Elisabeth Moss, who won last year for The Handmaid's Tale. Sandra Oh, she's been nominated a few times for Grey's Anatomy. She's here for Killing Eve. Keri Russell on her final nomination for The Americans, and Evan Rachel Wood is back as a nominee for Westworld. So this is the thing. You could just go straight away and say, look, Elisabeth Moss won last year. The Handmaid's Tale has 20 nominations. It's in the news. It's in the zeitgeist. It's going to win a lot of Emmys. She's probably going to win again. That's probably what most people are thinking, and that's probably why she's at my #1 spot right now. What about you?
Yes, she is. More than any other reason, when you've got this many strong contenders, it actually helps a front runner or a perceived front runner, because if they have one person to fight off, any anti-Handmaids or anti-Hulu or anti-Elisabeth faction, like we've seen, especially say at the Oscars, they'll go for that other person or that other movie or that other show. But here, I think there's going to be divided support among the other shows and other people. And there's no competitors like we had on Drama Actor. There's nobody from co-stars up against each other here. We probably almost had it with Sandra Oh and Jodie Comer. But anyway, that's probably going to help Elisabeth Moss more than anything.
Yeah. But and her performance in season 2 of The Handmaid's Tale was really quite remarkable. Her episode, Perfect Submission, she really leads that show beautifully. She holds it together. So I can see a lot of reasons for why she would just repeat as a winner. But if we put her aside for a second and look at this extremely strong category, we've got people like Claire Foy. Especially for me, I'm very, very tempted to put her in #1. I rewatched her episode 2 days ago, Dear Mrs. Kennedy, and I was just completely floored. In fact, it brought me to tears, which very rarely happens. The scene where she's being told about what Jackie O might have said about her at a dinner party, that's masterclass acting for me, and I think actors will flock to that performance. And this is her last opportunity. She won't be back in The Crown.
3 people, it's their last opportunity. And none of those, Tatiana has won before. The other 2, Claire and Keri, have not won before. So if you want to reward, again, those kind of factors, the fact that there's 3 of them, that also helps an Elisabeth Moss. There's no narrative that can build necessarily for one over the other of those 3, at least.
Yeah.
Remember, too, Claire Foy really surprisingly won over Elisabeth Moss at SAG Awards this year. And a lot of the voters are the same.
Yeah, that's why I'm very tempted to, against my better judgment, to maybe put her in first. And I don't think I'll be the only one. I'm hearing a lot of other people are doing the same thing. I think she was just absolutely incredible on The Crown. The Crown's done very well as well this particular season at the Emmys. A lot more actors are nominated this time, which was a little surprising to see Matt Smith and Vanessa Kirby. So I think really there's a lot of arguments to be made for Claire Foy. And also, as you say, Keri Russell, this is her last opportunity. She's been on TV for a very long time. She just won the TCA. She is absolutely spellbinding in The Americans. She should have won by now. And I'm really tempted to maybe put her up the top of my list as well. What are you going to do?
Once a week, you should just rotate who's in position. Keri Russell submitted an episode from near, not the finale, but close to it. And she's more sympathetic in this one than she's been much of the series. There's a young man in the governmental offices that she's developed he's basically bugging an office for her. He doesn't know it. And he gets in the car with her after he's figured it out. And any other episode anywhere along the way in the series, he would have been a goner. But she lets him go. And there's a couple of other sympathetic moments in there. And I think many of the voters would have watched the finale anyway, just as a pop culture moment. So she's sort of got a 2-for-1 going here. I think if they're watching this episode on the Emmy platform and then they've seen the finale, or they watch it because Matthew Reese submitted it, those things can help her.
They can. And then we look ahead to someone else. Sandra Oh is like a marvel in Killing Eve. I believe that Killing Eve, for me, it almost came out of nowhere. There wasn't a lot of hype about Killing Eve 6 months ago. It aired on BBC America. Suddenly it became a sensation. Both her and Jodie Comer are brilliant in the show, and Jodie could have easily been a nominee this year as well. Sandra Oh is a previous nominee. She's been nominated a few times for Grey's Anatomy. She hasn't won. She's fantastic on Killing Eve. It's like a comedic, dramatic performance. She's very, very heartfelt. It was one of my no guts, no glory predictions to see her nominated. I'm thrilled to see her here, and she could totally win this as well. There's only 2 nominations for the show, though. Her and Phoebe Waller-Bridges.
That's a key nomination to get in for writing. It means,
correct.
That's a branch that's very discriminating and really goes out on a limb sometimes. She's also the first Asian actress ever nominated in this category. People want to say Asian American, but she's actually from Canada. So she's not Asian American. She's Asian Canadian, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a little bit of a narrative that might could pick up if people start to realize that. But here's one for you. Tatiana Maslany, even though Elisabeth Moss is truly the defending champion, she's sort of the defending champion too, because she wasn't eligible last year. She didn't get to the bowl last year. She didn't get to defend her crown. So it's kind of like the Game of Thrones Handmaid's Tale thing in series. Which one of these? I mean, what could Tatiana have won last year if she had been eligible?
That's right. And the fact that, I mean, I was thinking that Orphan Black was ancient history, and a lot of Emmy voters would have forgotten about it.
Last summer was when these episodes
aired. A long time ago. And to see her in this category goes to show that voters really respect her, love her performance. She won the last eligible. I would not be surprised to see Tatiana win again. And you know what? Kudos to BBC America to get 2 nominees in this.
2 out of the 6 in the most difficult category to get into. And almost had 3.
Yeah. So that's really impressive. The only person we haven't really spoken about in depth is Evan Rachel Wood. I remember her from Once and Again when she was just a kid. She is such an amazing actor. To see her nominated again for Westworld, completely deserved. She carries that show beautifully. I don't know if Westworld's going to win any acting prizes this year. I don't think it will. And I think Evan Rachel Wood is going to struggle a bit here because this category is just so stacked.
Well, and again, we don't know what episodes will be watched by the majority of Emmy voters. We do know what her submission is, though, from very early in the season, and they love multiple layers of performance. She plays basically her character in the past, in the present, and in the future. You can't get more diverse than that.
I know. So really, you could really toss a coin here. I think the safe bet, as we have said, is probably Elisabeth Moss. I think The Handmaid's Tale is going to do very well again. There's a lot of narratives going on about what's happening in the United States right now politically, and I think that helps that show. But Orphan Black, Tatiana Maslany could win again, and I think Claire Foy is probably going to eventually be my #1 pick when I finally make those final predictions. So this one's a tough one.
Well, finish us up.
Yeah, I think, all right, everybody, you go ahead and put your predictions in as well. I'm really curious to see how these odds are going to shape up as we look to the races over the next few weeks. We need you guys to put in your predictions. Everybody in Hollywood is watching, and that is a fact. So put your predictions in. We'll be putting ours in as well. And let's see how this race progresses over the next few weeks. Thanks, everyone.